That's it. That's it. That's the new ringtone.
Yeah, you're not going to start the whole show with
It's
that.
too late. I've started the show. Welcome to Beer 30 Live, everybody. That's my new ringtone. Hello, Superman. And actually, when Kira calls, my wife, oh, we got a little interference there. When Kira calls, it's the love theme. It's really quite
The
beautiful.
love theme from
Superman.
Oh, I
on
would say it was like
Superman.
from the Love Boat or
Yeah, I was
something.
like,
Are you guys, are both of you totally retarded about
Hey,
this?
totally
I mean,
retarded? What?
Give me a break.
Yeah,
how
my
is
mic
everybody?
is
This is
muted.
okay. This is I am Pete Wright. It is, and I'm sitting here with I almost shocked that we're in the same room together. Shane Corsetti.
yes.
Welcome back.
Shane, thank
I
you
was
for
just saying,
coming.
it's
I
been a
mean,
long time.
it has been.
It's
Shane
been-
is on tour promoting his most recent thing, and happened to stop by and visit us today.
Yes, thank you for having me on the
Direct
show.
from Amsterdam.
Yes, somewhere.
And Jamie Whitley
It's good to be back again.
of jamiewhitley.com or .net.
JamesWhitley.net.
JamesWhitley.net.
So, yeah, we're back to the...
Well, I told you guys, it's trying to be a little more formal. We have some other people accompanying James and Jamie. I mean, so you're trying not to get mixed up and stuff.
You get confused a lot with the
Yeah, I
other-
get confused. I'm a little gender confused in that respect. I look at them and go, "Are you me or am I you?"
we don't have another guest today. It's just us, but we have lots of good things to talk about.
And Mary's not here today.
And Mary's not here. That's the big,
That's
duh,
big
news.
big.
Soon to be smaller.
Yes.
Mary, she called us the other day. She said she went to the doctor and that they said
She's like 35 weeks. Or
yeah,
something,
35,
right, at that time?
somewhere
Yeah.
35-ish, and has been told she can't go anywhere. That baby's coming. So congratulations, almost to
We should
Mary.
hear any time.
Yeah,
we
should.
don't know. It could
Maybe
be today.
Yeah.
we'll
Could
hear
be during the show.
I saw her last night, and she said she's ready. She's not ready.
I'll bet she is.
They're not ready for it because
Right.
she's early, but
But not
day,
so early. I
any
mean,
day.
not so early that it's
Right.
dangerous or anything, right?
Well, yeah,
4
I
weeks
think
early.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, Xander was early too.
Yeah, her
6
first child was born right around 34 weeks, I think. So.
It's probably because she doesn't eat enough frickin' meat. All she eats are vegetables and stuff, and it just kills her body.
You're
Tofu.
preaching to the save,
Yeah.
man. Preaching to the
She
save.
needs eat a burger or something.
Yeah,
meaty burger,
Yeah.
bunless without meaty
Yeah,
burger.
exactly.
with a meat bun.
Yeah.
Just a hamburger with a pork bun and bacon.
Bacon for your lettuce.
You guys are
That's
horrible.
what I.
So this is the man.
I
show
want
today,
sausage fries. I get some sausage fries, and I want them deep fried in beer.
And bacon
Hey,
grease.
they do have those though, right? So I told you guys the other day I went to the Def Leppard concert, and I got out, and it was like 1 a.m. or something, and Burger King's open 24 hours a day, so I stopped by. They did the little chicken fry things.
Yeah,
the chicken
I've heard
fries.
about
Yeah, they
those.
weren't too
Oh,
bad.
my goodness.
Yeah, little fry-shaped pieces of chicken.
Now that is something that goes with Def
part of-
Leppard.
chicken fries.
Chicken fries and Def Leppard.
What part of the chicken is the chicken?
I don't know, man.
Okay,
Didn't
so
ask that question.
tell us. So, Dish, man, how was the concert?
The concert is really good. Actually, the first band was Styx. Those guys. Yeah, 30 years. So they were celebrating their 30-year anniversary July 7th, 2007. So I guess they did like their first show. Our first record came out on July 7th, 1777. So they were pretty awesome, and they were very good. I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect a whole lot. And then Def Leppard came on, and they're great. They had this huge LCD screen in the back, and it was just phenomenal. But
Like one of the big, 30-inch ones?
yeah, like probably like 90 feet by 40 feet. I mean, it was huge. I mean, it was pretty amazing. But the interesting thing is those guys, I mean, anybody who's a professional like that, they are performers, right? I mean, they're there to perform, and they do an excellent job. And Def Leppard's always great. But Joe Elliott was so sick, he could barely even talk. And,
Wow.
and I mean, he was sweating and hoarse. And I know they kept playing with the sound and stuff, trying to get it so it sounded okay. Actually, I felt so sorry for the guy. I almost wanted him to go home just to
Had
get
they
a
been
bit.
touring for long?
Yeah, they've been touring a lot.
So
This is the second. They've been here twice in about a year, and they've got a new album coming out. And they said they were going to come back again in another year. But they were phenomenal. But he was so sick, that poor guy.
I went up to the Gorge over Labor Day weekend
Yeah.
to watch Dave Matthews Band. And
God, I love those guys.
You know, yeah. And I hadn't been to a show in 4 or 5 years. I used to be one of those junkies that was
one of the Dave junkies.
Yeah, it'd be, you know, just and I had to get the reserved seating and as close as possible, and go to all shows. And this time, I went with a group of people that we used to go with all the time, and we decided, hey, we're going to go general admission. You know what? It was so nice to be in general admission, sit on a blanket, if you haven't been to the Gorge, it's just so beautiful there.
It's beautiful.
I mean, it's just, you're seeing the river, and it's such a good show, a good experience because it wasn't this like rush to the stage and feel cramped and lose your space.
You just get to enjoy the music.
Yeah.
And that's music, man.
That's what's
Dave
so
Matthews,
cool about me.
you just need to listen to it.
That guy's
He's such
brilliant.
a lyricist,
Yeah.
Yeah. The new one, live from the New York City one, it's him and Tim Reynolds.
Yeah.
It's their second double disc that they've released over the last 4 or 5 years. It is stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic. That dude can play guitar.
You know, and the thing about, you're talking about Tim Reynolds.
Tim Reynolds, yeah.
It's like he's not one of those like guitar gods, sort of, one of your 80s hair band sort of.
Right.
He's very humble in how he plays too. I mean, you wouldn't guess that this guy can just wail.
Unbelievable, the stuff that he can pull on that steel string. I mean, incredible.
Yeah.
But it's,
Speaking of nothing, do you know Tommy Shaw's like almost smaller than his guitar?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he is short. And no offense to anybody who's short. I was really surprised about how actually he's not a very big guy.
What about the one arm thing?
The one arm.
The drummer.
The one arm. Oh man, he's awesome.
Is he? I mean, he's still drumming, right?
Yeah,
He's
he
still,
is. In fact, I was so.
What's his name?
Rick Savage. The interesting thing, I actually, after the concert, a couple days later, I got online and looked a little bit, just because I was so fascinated by how he does it. And he works with some, and again, I'm not a drummer, but he works with some folks who synthesize a bunch of the sounds, and he'll record them, and then he'll set them off with his other foot. So he's got all these sounds set up to help fill in the holes.
Yeah.
So he uses his right arm, he uses the kick drum like he normally does, and he uses the left to maybe do a hi-hat or some kind of little rhythm that he pops in. And it's really, you can't tell the difference. And he's actually started some kind of foundation to help disabled kids actually with drumming and help get them technology to help them be drummers. And very fascinating
That's
stuff.
fantastic.
Yeah,
that is
very
so cool.
If it's, those guys, like anybody else, they mature over time. They start out as crazy and blah blah. And as they get a little older, they start thinking about life and giving back. And they all those guys still make really good music. Dave Matthews Band, I love them. I mean, they're so good.
But there's just something about the concert experience.
It's
like whether it's Def Leppard, Styx, Dave Matthews.
It's breaking up a fight,
Hey, speaking
it's
of
getting hit on by this lady behind me. I mean, she kept hitting me. I'm like no offense. Well, yeah. I mean, part of it was like
I know I'm hot, but
well, for me, it was like
I'm from JamesWhitley.net.
No offense, but I'm like, no, lady, no, not here,
no,
not on a boat.
Let me tell you where you won't ever say that. The Lilith Fair.
The Lilith.
You remember the Lilith Fair?
Oh yeah.
I went to the Lilith Fair with a buddy of mine.
They let you in?
I was surprised actually, but I wasn't actually. The surprise didn't hit me until I was there, like inside at the fair, and it was not my crowd at all. There was.
Go figure.
It was a lesbian show. I mean, it was just all couples,
not that there's
all
anything
lesbians.
wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I was with another dude.
Well, that's
and we were out of place.
No, you weren't. You were fitting right in. You fit right in. What are you talking about? It's funny how this show degenerates without Mary here for balance.
I know. We need to talk about something smart, like with Mary, what she would be talking about, like Britney Spears.
Yeah. She would. So I was reading People magazine.
Talk about great live shows.
Yeah, seriously. When the artist just stops lip syncing halfway through because she's so drunk.
Was she drunk?
Okay, so here's the deal. This is according to Access Hollywood, right? And I know this.
Now, did Mary?
I rarely.
Or did you look this up?
I rarely. You guys know me. I rarely go to the gym, right? And when I do,
I'm really
it's
surprised.
something.
It's just by looking at it.
It's something really special.
Was there some new technology you had to check?
There
out
was.
at the gym?
There was. There's a new bike, new stationary bike, and it has a lot of lights and knobs that are flashing
It's the new
and
iBike,
and buzzing. And I was there, and it was right in front of TV number 5, which had Access Hollywood for an hour. So I'm riding the bike, and I'm watching the Access Hollywood Britney Spears expose. And they went in some detail where they chronicled her partying from 4 o'clock Friday night that weekend all the way through Saturday night when Nick Angel, the magician, pulled out because they were supposed to do some sort of a great big opening, VMA opening magic / Britney Spears show, and he pulled out because he said she was too drunk to rehearse, and I guess she was depressed, so she kept drinking all the way to the VMAs, and so by the time she went out, I think they said that she fired her hairdresser minutes before she went on stage. She was in such a rage, a drunken rage, and so she went out and just sort of stumbled across the stage. You didn't see it.
I did not see it.
I watched the video on TV or the computer.
Yeah.
Britney's about the only person that maybe it's the news that makes her look this way, but she's about the only person that makes Kevin Federline look like a really decent guy. Before they got
like
married and stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. When they were all dating, I was like, oh, honey. Come on, right? And now when it's all said and done, you're like, yeah, Kevin, he's my man. He's talented, he's smart, he's a good father.
Well, okay, that might be pushing it.
What do you think
but,
of the...
No.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I feel sorry for him.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering if the pressure that she's on, and I don't even know if it's pressure, but just being every step she takes is documented by, somebody.
Oh, yeah, no, I think she is poisoned from the spotlight. Yeah. I think that's what happened. She's just...
money, fame.
And then you add 2 kids now to that, you can't... I just don't...
Well, and to try and keep up with that lifestyle with 2 kids, I'm not a father that I know of, but... just kidding. Just kidding, Mom. Just kidding. But, to be able to be a good parent and to keep up with that lifestyle probably doesn't
Isn't she
make
from,
a whole
Louisiana or something, too? That's, strikes against you right there.
Okay, see now... Props to Louisiana. Why do you have to go do that?
What, we have one listener in Louisiana?
Not anymore. So no, I think that there's an equation, right? And there are these performers who do it, who are able to be performers and be parents.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I'm certainly not a performer like that, but I think it's because they remove the partying from that equation. It's like when you're a parent, and you have a career, but your social life changes. And I don't think Britney is capable of that. I think she's just happened too young, too fast.
Well, yeah, I'm probably not. Again, I don't really keep up with it, but I don't think she's really close with her parents and things. And so, you have a lot of money and you turn 18, you think you know it all, and so maybe you divorce your parents or whatever, and you just don't have that guidance and grounding. Because quite frankly, I probably did some pretty stupid things too, and if I hadn't had people around me to help me, I'd probably still be doing stupid stuff.
And I read somewhere, maybe it was People or something like that, about, but she was like, she gave her mom some letter about, stay away from my kids, stay away from,
Oh, see, that's just not cool.
Yeah,
my mom would have a coronary.
Oh, man. I'd have a coronary thinking about doing that to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tom Cruise is trying to sign her up for Scientology, so should solve all that. Because he's been reading about psychology and he's studied it. He'll take care of that.
And you find that Scientology is the thread that holds this show together.
Kind of is.
It's the story arc.
It's a big word.
Tell me, Tom Cruise.
What else do we have?
So we have other people who probably needed more love as children. Bin Laden. I'm all about segues today. Did you notice that? Poor Bin Laden has been trumped by another fake. Here's a guy who's just trying, when he produces a video, he wants it to mean something. And all these posers are out here.
Out there.
They're coming out here, and now it's a boy who cried wolf thing.
Yeah.
Now, when the real one comes out, we're all going to be yelling it's a fake, when it's just Bin Laden trying to say, I just want to get my message to the people, to the infidel.
It's really,
and we are just we're really ruining his mojo.
It's really funny that he's become a joke. Really. So and even I've been reading about even within some communities that have supported him and stuff in the past, that the whole thing has started to become kind of like a big joke. It's like a big South Park episode. Yeah. Like, it's Bin Laden again. Woohoo! Get out the chips and popcorn. And is it the real one? Is it the Hair Club for Men one?
Okay, so here's the latest one, so that we actually have the story. The latest one came out a week before 9/11, and it has been rigorously scrutinized. And now they say that it comes, like all the components that make up the video come from a number of different sources. Using all sorts of different technical jargon, but they really pulled it apart and said the only thing that's really true is that his beard is actually black.
So is that really him then?
Well, they're saying it is him, but it's culled together from different sources.
So is it an old one maybe? Or?
Yeah, possibly.
So he might be dead. I mean, really, for all we know.
Who knows? And then when you go back and look at the message, I mean, we talked about it last week, right? The message that was in there was, Democrats, you need to do your job.
Yeah.
Well, suddenly now knowing that that's fake, who would have done that?
Yeah.
Who would gain by having that message out there?
You're saying it's George Bush?
I don't know. I'm not that level of conspiracy theorist. I just asked the question.
Mary over here.
Yeah.
That's the right wing that's doing that.
They're perpetuating the fear.
That's the secret society that Cheney's running. And he put that all together.
I don't know.
He's been really marginalized, I think, because it's losing control, and it's the messages that I think he was trying. And again, I don't agree with him, but all that's kind of starting to get lost, and it's becoming kind of a joke.
And he's definitely been overshadowed by the war in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And does he have the same worldwide terrorist sort of?
I don't think he has the influence.
I'm still feel threatened by the guy, but you just don't know.
Right.
Well, what's so funny is that at this point, the dude's probably in Bangkok, and he's like hanging out on a beach, like a nude beach somewhere,
with a beard like ZZ Top,
and he's working on his tan.
And it's like
she's got legs,
like what?
And a big giant black robe.
He's like, I give up all this fighting. That's why you see no videos.
That's right. You can't do. She's got legs. She's got eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Sorry.
Oh, that's wrong. Hey, speaking of...
but I do want to continue on this vein for a second. I have been reading some news, and I think this is very fascinating, too, about some people in the Islam community standing up now and saying that it should be okay for us to be able to renounce our faith or whatever and not feel persecuted. And it started to create some rifts in some communities, and this was overseas or something, if I remember right. And so there's this. And here, if you want to be Christian or not, or Catholic or whatever, I don't know that your life is threatened. But in some societies, if you denounce your faith, you're threatened with your life. And so now there's been some blowback saying, well, I shouldn't be threatened for making those decisions, even if you disagree with it. Mm-hmm. So that's starting to cause some rifts, which is really, so in some ways it's kind of fascinating because it creates this big dialogue that maybe even didn't exist before. Yeah. So maybe over time it's a good dialogue to have, even though it was started in a very poor way.
But there isn't that, on those, from my very limited knowledge, there isn't that whole separation of church and state in these other countries, which is always made, here it's always, even though it might not, the lines are really blurred when it comes to it, it's still something that's on the forefront of people's mind, that there is a separation. So you have states, you have countries that can really mandate religious expression. So it's a difficult conversation for them to have.
Yeah, and to ask them to not... Right. To separate church and state is very difficult for them because that's not how they're designed.
Were you talking about communities here or communities?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Anymore, how is that different than what we're doing right now?
I was talking about communities in other parts of the world, but I don't know if people are threatened in the United States for denouncing their faith. I would hope not. But I know that there's a lot of pressure. You look at Saddam Rushdie, right? The satanic
Solomon Rushdie.
Yeah, he just. He said, well, maybe some of the Quran wasn't quite what we cracked up to be, and all of a sudden kill him, and the guy's been hiding for all these years. So, that it's a little different. There's a certain segment that really, if you try to say anything negative, there's a lot of pushback, and so I think it's good to see the dialogue that says maybe there shouldn't be, maybe it's okay to have your own opinion.
Yeah, although, to be fair, the message in the Satanic Verses was not, maybe Islam isn't what it's cracked up to be. It was it was, he used some very volatile language.
Yeah, he did. That's old news, but
it is. But he only just recently came out of hiding. I mean, the guy's.
Yeah.
It's anyway. I met him once.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Did you talk with him or just shake his
hand?
hand?
I did. We organized short story long, a peace and violence symposium at my university, years and years ago, and he was one of the featured speakers, and he came with bodyguards, and they brought him in 3 minutes before he was to go on, and we had 2 minutes afterwards, and then he was gone. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting speech. So anyhow, who knows? But the real thrust of this whole discussion is happy 9/11 day to you both. What did you do to celebrate?
When was that? Wednesday?
Yeah, I think
Tuesday.
so. Tuesday? What did you do?
What did I do? I taught class.
It's Patriot Day, to be fair. I have had a very hard time calling it that.
It's Patriot Day.
That's
really.
what it's a holiday.
Is it bad of me to say that I
anything.
tried to do business as usual?
Yeah, I did
is that
too.
wrong of me to
I don't think so.
say that? And I was reading, you get online, I was reading articles, and, a lot of them were, America's forgot about September 11th. And, I think we're constantly reminded of it by, the things that are going on around us. But when is it okay to start moving on? Okay, it's been 6 years. Is it okay that we look forward instead of backwards? Or that's the thing that gets me.
Yeah.
Is it okay that I'm not, I remember where I was and what happened and everything that happened after that, but is it okay for me to say, guess what, I'm...
Well, here's the thing with holidays anymore. I don't think this one has staying power. I don't think it's going to stick, because I think to celebrate the level of trauma that a subset of the population felt quite directly, and that the population as a whole felt indirectly, is something, like you say, that people are going to move on from. And I don't think that there's no way you could monetize Patriot Day,
Right.
and that's what holidays are about in this country anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Look at Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Yeah.
Equally important events in the history of, the founding of our nation, but...
I agree. I hadn't really thought about it a whole lot. I knew it was there, and I paid attention, and I thought about it a little bit, but in some ways it was, how do I go about trying to build a community and a nation and a life that is not worried about being scared about terrorism, that is not worried that that somebody's going to back a truck up and blow stuff up. How do I just do my life the best of my ability, and that's the best I can do.
Yeah.
And if I do that and I do that well, then that's the best way I can give back.
No.
Because if I ran around scared and I'm all worried and stuff, then that doesn't really, that's not what the people who died would want you to do, I don't think. I think they would want you to say, remember us and build a life, build a country, and don't spend your time worrying around being scared and trying to, take away everybody's liberty and all that kind of stuff.
So were you guys inundated with like press about Patriot Day? On the day? Did you notice?
Nope.
No, I woke up...
It was like a non-story.
you
Yeah.
wake up and you sit there and you go, okay, it's
9/11.
September 11th. Like when you're going through your daily thing, you're looking at your calendar, you say it's September 11th. Okay.
I thought about what I did. So I take myself back. Where was I? What was I doing when it the towers got hit in the first place? So I kind of and then I spent a little time thinking about things and events since then. But no, it was kind of a non-event.
Yeah, it was a funny thing. It hit me at the I woke up wondering what kind of coverage there would be, and I just found very, very little.
What
and I was
coverage was on
surprised.
9/11? Was it Iraq and Afghanistan? I don't know. I'd have to.
What do you mean?
On that day.
This year?
Yeah, this year. So what was the hot news of the day? Bill Belichick? Yeah, really.
Speaking of segues, the big story is Bill Belichick.
No, I don't
No
get there
doubt. But no, we should talk about Bill Belichick.
But I don't think we're done talking about this.
Okay.
I
It just
think
seems to
we're
me
All right, what do you have?
nothing.
See what I mean?
It,
There was a moment
you're
of
made
silence.
to feel bad though for wanting to move on. It seems
Yes,
like to me.
that's the story.
I see your point.
You're made.
because if you want to move on, you're not a patriot.
Never forget, but you know what? That's what we do as people. Maybe we've got a short attention span, but we move on, and hopefully we're better because of it. And
well, it's kind of a gift. I mean, if you didn't move on, you'd always, you'd be stuck in that place in your life.
I fly, not frequently, but I fly. I'm, and I go to the airport. I'm not threatened at the airport, but you have to go through all the BS.
Rigmarole, yeah.
But I don't sit there and think that was a product of September 11th.
Right.
Maybe it was, but now it's just so
Ingrained,
indoctrinated. Yeah, it's what we do now. Okay, I arrive an hour and a half early. It's what I do. So.
Well, and we're still stuck in this position of everybody wanting change, and I think there's such this building sentiment. I mean, you look at this other story here that military families, their donations typically have gone to Republican candidates and those supporting the war, and they're saying that over the last cycle, we've got 40% of those military families now donating to Democratic candidates. And what does that say about wanting change, the environment of needing change in this country, and how is that reflected in celebrating something that, in large part, was the genesis of the sentiment we're all feeling today?
It's a good point. I mean, I think everybody's, not everybody, it's a broad generalization, but people tend to be really weary of the whole, and war takes a long time, so I hate to say that, and then I don't want to be the crowd that says, pull out, because, I think everything takes time, and you have to kind of manage that, but at the same time, there's this underlying sense of weariness, I think, in a lot of fronts. It ties back to, and I always drive everything back to the economy that's struggling, and healthcare issues, and you have men and women doing a fantastic job deploying them overseas, and the challenges that happens to their families, and just everything combined together. It's like we're not in that spot that we want to be in. I think people are like, we got to change something, and so that's why they're like, hey, obviously the Republicans can pull it off, so I'm going to vote for the other side.
Yeah,
I can't blame them for that.
Yeah.
No Ross Perot to vote for, I guess. So,
but that's the other thing too are the options. It's the.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Are
anybody
there any
sitting
real
here
options?
saying that we.
That's what I'm saying. Are the Democrats going to do anything better? Are they going to?
Yeah, I guess on the
and then what's going
Democrat
to
side,
happen when it's this whole pendulum that just swings back and forth, and it's we're extremely to the left in a liberal country, and now we're extremely to the right, and there's no other. Where do I fit in?
Yeah,
there? Somebody, really goes.
It's a good question. I don't know. I struggle with the same thing, and there aren't a lot of candidates that I hear that are really talking to average Americans. It's just, it's funny on the Republican side.
I like to think of myself as above average, but go ahead.
Yeah, most people actually do think they're above average, which means they're just basically average.
Pretty average.
Yeah.
Ron Paul on the Republican side, and he's a little out there, but he's the only guy that's really saying stuff that people are actually. No, Ron Paul's not the best. No, not the white stance guy. Oh, you're thinking of RuPaul. No, Ron Paul's like, saying the reason, for example, 9/11 and whatnot is because we have policies that and we talked about this last week, that put people in positions so they don't feel like they have any power, and so religion comes in and takes over, and they do desperate things. And he's like, if we would just change the way we manage things, then maybe we wouldn't have some of these problems. And he's really the only one that I hear that's talking that way, but I don't know if they would ever win.
Well, he's getting zero mainstream press.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of press on the net, but he's getting zero mainstream press, and zero press in Midwest America where people vote. And,
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Speaking of Bill Belichick.
Yeah, the real news of the week.
Stuff that I actually know something about.
Yeah. Educate me.
Yeah, tell us about it.
So Bill Belichick's the head coach of the Patriots, right? And this new dynasty.
Very famous, powerful NFL team for a lot of years.
A dynasty. They've won quite 3 Super Bowls in the past few years. And, their head coach Bill Belichick, who is kind of a I wouldn't say villain. Maybe that's too harsh of a word, but there are a lot of people that don't like him in the NFL, and there are people that do like him. He's a very good coach. Was caught cheating in their opening game. By videotaping the defensive assistant coaches calling in the plays and then using that to kind of progress with their team and make calls to counter what they were doing.
So videotaping. Let me make sure I get this right. So he's videotaping the hand signals and stuff,
right?
and then using the videotape to figure out how they do things,
Yeah.
and then predict what it is
Right.
they're calling.
Yeah, no, not predict, but say, okay, this hand signal's coming in. They're going to run a blitz. Here's our
Right.
counter.
Here's
to
what
that
we're
play.
going to run.
Right. Exactly. And so, but the interesting thing is that, you ask any NFL team or even, go down to high school and they say, yeah, we try and look at what, we try and decipher their signals and what they're doing. But the NFL sent out this summer a stern letter that said you are not allowed to videotape, opposing coaches, the opposing team, except within these confines. And so they blatantly broke the rules about this, crushed the Jets. I mean, just blew them out. And now all these teams are saying, well, wait a second,
You might have been messing with us.
Yeah, and they've been doing it. Here's the thing, though. They think they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And the funny thing I thought was Belichick, he comes out and he says, well, we interpreted the rules different. That's my fault.
Yeah.
I read those rules. There ain't no interpretation of it. Don't use a video camera on the field. I mean, what interpretation do you need,
There's no
dude?
gray area in the
You
rules.
are cheating, and you have been for a long time.
So then
Wow.
there's been no, he hasn't said, no, we didn't do it. He's admitted to doing it.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is the punishment that's been doled out. And that's where a lot of people disagree with what's happened. So they fined him $500,000. They fined the team $250,000. And then they're either taking if they make the playoffs, they're taking away their first round pick. If they don't make the playoffs, they're taking their second and third round pick. So, draft picks in the NFL, it's a big deal, especially those high round picks. But what they're saying is, or at least my opinion is that you suspend a player 4 games for performance-enhancing drugs. Isn't this the same way of cheating? This is a performance-enhancing
technology.
Cheating,
Yeah.
So there's no suspension.
And the guy hasn't been suspended at all.
No, there's no suspension.
I'm really surprised they didn't suspend him for several games or the season or something, because obviously he knew about it because they fined him more than anybody else. Yeah. He's admitted, and he said, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. We interpreted the rules different. End of story. And so $500,000 for him is not a huge deal.
The Patriots are going to pay that anyway.
So I was surprised they didn't nail him for more. And I think it's really
is that the power of lobbying in the NFL? I mean, aren't we talking about just
Here's the other thing that irks me, though, too, is that, so in the same week that this is happening, a quarterbacks coach for the Dallas Cowboys, Wade Wilson, who used to be a quarterback, was taking performance-enhancing drugs. So he's not playing. He's an assistant coach. And he's taking them because he's diabetic and he has ED. So he's taking these
steroids,
human growth hormones, to help with these problems. He gets suspended 4 games by the NFL. Not even a player.
He's not
he
a player.
Does foot on the. He doesn't. He's a coach.
You can't even have ED and be in the NFL without getting in trouble.
Exactly. Well, Ditka is. He was.
Well, yeah.
But he had ED.
But he wasn't on steroids.
No, he's on Viagra.
He was on something.
Anyway,
it feels really.
This guy isn't, and he gets.
And you're the coach.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
a role model.
sanctioned this. You authorized this. You not only did you not let this happen, you
were the one that said,
supported it and said, okay, let's do it over a period of time.
The other thing too about the Patriots is that coaches have been saying, they kind of have gotten together on this, and they said, well, there was a key drive that we had in the game up in Foxborough at their stadium, where all of a sudden our headsets were going out. Our headsets were going out. Other coaches are saying, yeah, same thing happened to us 2 years ago when we played there, or.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've started investigating for weird frequencies.
Yeah.
And there have been some really weird drives. All of a sudden, the Patriots somehow seem to always just, every play, just stuff it perfect. Yeah. Every play. And maybe you think it's because they're that good of a coach, and maybe they've got that great of a defensive coach, and blah, blah, blah. And then it makes you start thinking, though, what's going on? Because they caught that guy, the video camera. Didn't they catch him last year?
Yeah, they caught him at Green Bay last year.
Yeah.
Then they caught him at Detroit a couple years ago, or maybe last year too. Removed him. Maybe it was Jacksonville. It was another team. Removed him. He left, came back 5 minutes later, started doing it again.
Yeah. So they've been doing it for years.
But there's been this whole code amongst coaches that says, you're not going to tell, But finally, the coach of the Jets, Eric Mangini, who was defensive coordinator for the Patriots 2 years ago and had been for a number of years, called him out on it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, come on. I mean, if you want to, you're going to try to use everything to your advantage, but stay within some lines like that. I mean, I mean, if somebody leaves a playbook, hey, that's their fault.
Right.
But you're going to get out high-powered binoculars with a videotape to try and start recording other people's
do that.
stuff.
It makes
or
you
screw
think.
up
I mean, it
radio
really makes you
frequencies.
wonder how much other stuff is going on, though, doesn't it? I mean, that's
everyone's looking.
know
for the
he's not
advantage,
alone.
Right? Everyone's
Right.
looking at that, but to blatantly go against what I mean, it was a point of emphasis this year. The NFL hands them this letter and says, "You are not allowed to videotape the opposing team, except in these confines of, up in the booth with whatever." And they blatantly disregard it. Yeah, so
that would be priceless, wouldn't it?
I suspect other teams now are going to play extra hard because they're pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, you beat us
So they're
last
going to get
time,
stomped,
Yeah,
and
I
they're
hope
going to
so.
have a disadvantage.
I hope so.
But the other thing too is that the players still have to play. I mean, they
Yeah.
can't. So, but I don't like the Patriots, so I was kind of glad to see.
I
them.
have always been amazed, though, over the last several years that the Patriots have always, even though they lost good players and different things, have always somehow managed to play really, really strong together as a team. And it doesn't mean they're not well coached. If they have an advantage like that in defense, it's really crappy.
Yeah. But it makes it better too because Bill Belichick's just this very bitter man. He's just bitter.
He looks kind of mean.
Yeah.
Ornery.
He's
ornery.
I love it because the coach of my team, I'm big 49er fans, Mike Nolan, he says, I want to show up to, he had to petition the NFL to wear a suit on the sidelines. So he had to petition the NFL. Belichick over here wears a sweatshirt with cut off sleeves. And, something.
And that's what they're calling him, Belichick.
Belichick. Man, that was just made for a
It
name
is.
like
It's funny
that.
how nicknames just latch on like that are perfect. Belichick.
Well, speaking of sports outfits that are having some trouble,
You're not going to do this to me, are you?
let's do it. Let's talk about our man, Oden.
Spiraling into depression.
Oh, man.
Here's a guy who was, let's say this is the guy who's going to turn the team from, a building team to a contender.
Could have had Akeem Olajuwon? No. Could have Michael Jordan? No. We got Sam Bowie and Greg Oden.
Let's not. I mean,
Come on, tell the story. Poor guy.
okay. What am I
He
telling?
had surgery, right?
I'm really.
You
hurt by
look a
this
little
whole thing.
choked up.
So first,
I honestly had a rough
honestly,
day.
again, in Portland's defense, he was the consensus number one pick.
He was
Yes.
the guy.
And there were some rumors about some health stuff, but nothing definitive. And the health checks came out.
We need to
clean.
say what happens for our listeners who don't know, but
Yeah.
he had some pain in his knee, and they did just a scope to see what happened, and found out that he had the worst possible thing that could happen. He needed microfracture surgery, which is typically about a year recovery time. So
they did the surgery.
Hasn't even
and-
suited up. Did the surgery when they went in for the scope. Corrected it and said everything looks good. I mean, as far as this injury
As far as
goes,
right now, but
but they said as far as this injury goes, it was the cleanest they'd seen. It was something that they don't expect any complications. He's young, he's healthy.
But that's the second thing. So here's the worry, right? He had tonsil problems.
He had tonsillitis,
maybe
yeah.
tonsils.
He had a wrist problem in college.
Right.
I mean, but I'm just so hurt. He's such a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's 19 years old, and he's already carrying the weight of this multi-million-dollar franchise on his shoulders. It just crushes me. Not that he's not going to play this year, but that he's probably feeling guilt.
I bet he is.
And I imagine he's going to have some depression he's going to have to face. And I mean,
He should offload some of those millions
kid?
to us.
Yeah, exactly.
To help him out of that.
But
Yeah, I
for me
agree
as a
with
Blazer
you.
fan, yesterday's
it's
news
bad.
was really
bad
tough.
news.
I do feel sorry for him, and I feel sorry for the Blazers franchise because it seems like they're cursed when it comes to big men. Not that there's never really been a lot of big men, good big men in the
Well, and that's why you go with
NBA,
the
and
big
that's
men.
why you go with them.
That's
And
why they were
so
Sam
it's a roll of the dice. But twice now, it feels like, oh no, now we're going to go through the same thing we
Yeah.
did before,
Yeah.
and you hope it's not.
The thing, I read an article by Kiki Vandeweghe, who used to play for the Blazers back in the day.
He could light it up, couldn't he?
he could score. But and he played when they drafted Sam Bowie, and he said, people forget that when he was playing with us, we were blowing people out by averaging 20 points a game.
But he was a great player.
and like they had every skill position matched up, and people forget about that he was really a player, and he had injuries. Michael
Body
Jordan
broke
was
down.
injured, before he was drafted, and because he had such a great career, people don't remember that, but because Sam Bowie had an injury and his career derailed.
Michael Jordan even broke
Everybody
his tibia
saddled.
one year and was out for almost
Yeah,
half the year,
yeah,
3/4 of the
exactly,
year
that's
with a
what I'm
broken.
saying. Yeah, so people forget about that, and so there were health questions about Michael Jordan. So
yeah, I feel sorry for the guy and the Blazers too. But
I
you just hope it's not the same thing all over again.
Yeah.
But being a Sonics fan, I'm very happy. We got the number 2 pick, and we're all healthy and happy.
If you guys have a team next year,
yeah, don't even get me started on that. We'll do that another.
But I'm really crushed as a Blazer fan. Really crushed.
It's going to be a long year.
It'll be fun because they're an exciting team. They're young, but I was so looking forward to watching them play.
So this Census is the all sports show.
Yeah.
Another big famous name in the headlines is Mr. O.J. Simpson.
Yes, the juice.
The juice. You know, I think
got a couple of things, right? I mean, he's all over these days. He's got
well, this first one,
best-selling book out
now. You were talking about his best-selling book. You got to tell that story.
Yeah, he's got that book. He's called "If I Did It: The Confessions of the Killer." Where apparently
is that out or is it?
Yeah,
just...
it's been out for a while, I think.
You can buy it. Amazon.com.
I'm not positive, but Ron Goldman's parents or family now have seized the assets. I don't know what their term is, but they get the profits of the book now. They changed the title to something like "I Did It: The Confession of the Killer" or something along those lines, and they're taking all the profits. And the debate is, should they have done that? This is blood money. But the point is that he can't pay for the civil lawsuit.
And so they get to take control.
So they get to take control.
They're not going to get your kid back.
Yeah,
might
exactly.
as well. Even if you got it all and then donated it to charity.
But wouldn't it keep reminding you of this?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just one of those people who's likes to move on from stuff. But
here, okay, I agree with you.
This is it. Just to fill that in. It's hardcover. It is available now. As of September 13th. And it's called "If I Did It: Confessions of a Killer" by Goldman Family.
Oh. So here's how. But you were talking about, would you take the money or would you? You're not going to get it back. You're not going to get your kid back, and I don't know. Maybe you're inclined to publish it anyways and take the money and give it to charity or something.
Well, it's a way to stick it to him though too.
Yeah, stick it to him. Don't let him publish it. That's for sure.
He's the one that did all the work for it.
I guess the real question is: do you still publish it or not publish it? If you own the rights to it, do you publish it or not?
Well, the cover is I mean they're pretty. They're not subtle, okay? Cover is, it's got a big badge on it. It says the Ron Goldman Foundation for Justice authorized version. I Did It: Confessions of the Killer, with exclusive commentary, quote, "He did it," by the Goldman family. Well, yeah, subtle as a sledgehammer.
OJ.
I mean, it just takes the wind out of it. Although the rumor is that OJ originally wanted to title it that. The I Did It version.
Gonna sell a hell of a lot of books.
Yeah,
that guy's slimy.
Why? Why do you think that?
Well, because of this week's story, that dude is caught.
Okay, what? I haven't read this story, so tell me exactly. Yeah. So, OJ's been busted doing something. Breaking and entering.
Yes,
stealing stuff.
He's breaking and entering. He was breaking in. To see now, I just lost.
Okay, so hold on. So
computer.
I mean,
hang on.
Did he walk to the supermarket and grab a pack of gum?
Was he wearing gloves when he did it?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't like this whole.
No, this is the best. Okay, I've had
it.
This is the best part. It's in Las Vegas. It was the other glove. It was the other glove.
You're horrible.
It is in Las Vegas. He was questioned Friday in a confrontation in a casino hotel room involving sports memorabilia. So he says that some of his old sports memorabilia was stolen, and so he authorized himself a sting operation to retrieve the stolen property. He says no weapons were involved, but it was he authorized the sting to go get his stuff back.
I heard some banging against the wall, but he wasn't quite sure. So was there anybody else involved, or just by himself?
Well, no, it looks like there was no one else involved.
So he decided to go on a little mission and get his stuff back.
Well, we have reported from the victim that there were weapons involved, but the investigation is in its infancy. Now, Simpson he says there were no weapons involved, and that
the blood was because he cut his hand on the glass.
And the body is not dissolving in a bathtub full of lime as we speak.
You know how we talk about how we felt bad for Britney Spears?
Yeah.
I do not feel bad for O.J. Simpson at all. And, I was trying to think about why. It's just because he's so sleazy.
Yeah.
You know?
He hasn't acted, whether he was guilty or not. I mean, people have
he's
debates
not
about
guilty.
that. Yeah, but afterwards, the way he's kind of not just run his life, but his total kind of disregard and disrespect for other people and it feels like in life and his wife's memory and all that. I mean, it's just slimy. It feels.
But he was never going to win. You know, he's never going to win. If he was found guilty, there'd be the other side saying, well, he's not guilty. And, you know, for those that think he's guilty, you know, they've got this perception that he's guilty. You know, he did it. So he's never going to get a leg up on anything he does.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is actually amusing. There's more to this story. Turns out that
he was with Michael Vick.
No, he was invited to it was a private auction. At this dude's house in Las Vegas, where he wanted to sell the sports memorabilia and was planning on getting $50 to $100,000 out of it. And Simpson got invited and saw that it was some of his stuff and wanted to go back in and take his stuff back before it was sold. Because he, quote, didn't want to see these guys make money off my stuff. Adding that he wanted the items for his children. I mean, there was some gloves in there, and there was
a knife,
an old knife, and there was well, you know, cosmically poor guy, but man, he has dug his own hole. So, anyhow. Well, folks, that was the end of the All Sports Show. All Sports Beer 39.
The one part that I do well, and I actually know stuff, and we're done.
The sport?
Yeah.
Well, it just feels kind of bad, though, to stop on bloody
OJ.
gloves, OJ, knives. I'm like, what a depressing thing. I mean, come on.
That's one of those events, though, where you remember where you were when you heard the verdict. You know,
I do remember that. Yeah, where were you guys?
I don't actually remember where I was when I heard the verdict.
Really? I do remember.
It was a high school history class my junior year, and the teacher
we were listening. Yeah, the same
TV
thing.
on.
Yeah.
Turn the TV on. We watched.
You were in
it.
high school?
No. I was actually working, making a living. I was not sucking off taxpayers like Shane was.
16-year-old.
And we were listening to it on the news. And actually, it was really funny because the folks I was with at the time were a bunch of lawyers. And they just shook their heads to a T, every single one of them. Yeah. And it didn't matter race, color, creed. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it."
When was that? What year was that?
It was 95, 96.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Boy, that's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been
nothing.
a while.
I got nothing.
I remember sitting there and we all watched the verdict. And some people were excited, and other people were like, "You've got to be kidding me."
Yeah.
There's no way, you know. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Mrs. Morgan's history class.
To me, I think the kind of the turning point, though, for me watching that was kind of losing a little bit of what a spectacle some of the system has become. And then if you have money, you can, even if he was guilty or not, you can throw so much money at it and make it so difficult that it's very difficult to find that person guilty. And so then it feels like, well, people can get away with almost anything.
Yeah.
And they do a lot now.
Try being a 15 or 16-year-old who's really uncertain of the judicial system in the first place, and you see this trial on TV all the time. That's what you think every trial is.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I felt, that everything was this drawn out, this dramatic, this, you know.
Law and Order.
Law and Order-ish, yeah, you know, and to find out that, you know, I served jury duty the other day. That's not how it is. You know?
Did you get called?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you just had to wait.
I was actually, it was for, you know, Beaverton Municipal Court.
But you didn't have to serve, huh?
No,
did you answer questions?
I didn't. I didn't say a word.
They wouldn't have taken you anyways.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess.
Yeah. So, but they did, yeah, it was actually placed up on the juror box. You know, it was one of the... And then
wow, you got all the way.
I it out. Yeah,
I take one of those temporary tattoos, 666, I put on my forehead. I walk to the plate, they're like, thanks. And they turn around and you leave. It's like, I'm out of jury duty.
Yeah.
There's something about that. They don't...
Works every time.
Yeah.
When I said something like, I hate gay people, that, you know, they're just kidding.
Where the hell are you coming from, dude? Why do we... Yeah, so this is why we have Shane on once a year. It's one thing for me to say something about Louisiana. But come on.
I was getting, all my friends were saying, what you got to do is just say some outlandish racial comment.
That's right.
automatically you're not going to make it. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, it's like, so why do the,
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Antichrist on my forehead?
I don't know that it's the same thing. Oh, you
No,
guys
I
are
don't
both
think that
such
is the same
you
thing.
guys are both such losers. Okay, thank you everybody for listening.
We miss
If you've
you, Mary.
listened this
Come
long,
back and save us.
yeah, please. If you've listened all the way to the end,
Pete can only feminize this show so much. Mary, come back.
Nice,
dude,
nice.
that was below.
Wow.
That was below the belt,
Sweet,
as it were.
Dude.
I do my
you
best.
come around on that.
I'm trying
That's
to
good.
trying to metro up the place a little bit. Well-trimmed facial hair. Thank you to Mick Miniman's
product in your hair.
John Barleycorns for letting us sit here and eat the. Today we shook it up a little bit with the asparagus dip, or the cheese dip. It was
and the
excellent.
colorful chips.
And the beer and the chips. And we'll be back next week. In the meantime, find us, beer30live.com. And anything else? Yeah, do it.
Good show.
At beer30live.com. Until next week.
We're out.